Hey everybody, this is Marie at Hey everybody, this is Marie at revmom Academy. So here's my question for you. What would the manual look like if they sent you home a manual from the hospital? What should it look like? What are some of the essential things that we as moms should know about the process of motherhood? Motherhood is not a title, it is a process. It is not an end all. There is no end all to mothering. It is a process and a journey that every mother gets to go through. Each journey will look different. It will show up in different ways and have different highs and lows. Some will face depression while others will face financial difficulties. Some will face body issues while others will face issues with children making choices that we as mothers are not happy about. Some will face control issues while others won't be able to stand up into their light. No matter what trials are in your journey, we are each in our own perfect journey, creating our own maps. So a couple months ago, I decided to take on something that I've never done before. And I decided to run something that's called a warrior dash. And I am not a runner. And this had obstacles and all sorts of things. Running through water and going over barricades and running over cars, all sorts of types of things. And I made myself a promise at the beginning of that race that I would not compare myself to anyone else, that I would not compare my journey based on what I think I should look like, but that I would just take it as it came and run that marathon and run that race, knowing that it would be my perfect race no matter what happened. So for the fun thing was, as I ran that race, I got about a third of the way through and hit the tire run, and I was going and I was having fun, and I was totally already exhausted, only a third of the way through. But that's okay, totally exhausted, and I hit the tire race, and I sprained my ankle. Right there, a third of the way in, and I was like, oh no. So I was like, I will walk until I find a medic. By the time I got to a medic, my ankle barely hurt. I couldn't run on it anymore, but it barely hurt. So I finished that race. I was one of the last ones in. The new heat was absolutely lapping me past, and everyone was looking at me like, just keep going, you sweet little soul. And I was like, I sprained my ankle, okay? But it was still so much fun, and I was so grateful that I had made a promise to myself that no matter what happened, it would be my perfect journey, that I wouldn't compare myself to my pregnant friend who was 6 months pregnant and ran the race in half as much time. And probably honestly would have ran it in half as much time even if I hadn't sprained my ankle. But it was my perfect journey, so you cannot compare your journey to anyone else's. It is impossible for us to hand our maps to someone else. All we can do is guide them through. What we all do have in common are similar themes that are running in our lives. How do we create value in and outside of motherhood? How do we get paid for that value if that's what we choose to do? How do we step into our light as a mother and by so doing allow ourselves and our children to shine? This is a transformational program that will take mothers from barely surviving in their lives to being on fire each day, living with enthusiasm, living life on purpose. Once you know the rules to this game of motherhood, or even to life itself, it will be easier to see the pathway. So many mothers will never take this course on because to them it feels selfish. Selfish to take the time, the energy, and the money, or to see what will come. Selfish to take the time, energy, and money, or even selfish to want to see what could come from themselves. What would it look like if you realized you had more to offer the world than just being a mother? What would that look like? Is it okay to even think about that? What kind of time will it take away from your kids? How much will you be giving up in your life if you step forward in this? Here's the real question I want to ask you. How much will you be giving up in your life if you don't? This is not about being selfish. Our whole lives we have been told our whole lives we have been told to be less selfish, and that motherhood has to be completely self-sacrificing. But it's not about that. It's about putting yourself back into your life. Regardless of anything else that happens, this is your life. If you can't see yourself in it, it will be worthless. Not worth nothing, just worth less. No one else can live your life for you, and if you don't live it, it will just pass you by. And one day you will wake up wondering what the heck just happened. So let me ask you this. How much more will you be giving up to stay on the path you know instead of leaping into something unknown? If I were to tell you that you were going to die tomorrow, but if you could pay if I were going to tell you you were infected with a cancer and that one of these days you would just die, but if you paid me money, you were infected with a cancer and that you were going to die, would you go to a doctor and pay them to save your life? If you were told that you needed to go to a doctor to save your children's life, if I said you have a cancer and if you don't get it fixed, your children will die, would you go to that doctor? The answer is of course yes. Let me tell you something that you may not recognize. Right now, living your life as is causing you pain. How do I know that? Because you're here. It is causing you pain, and it is causing you pain, and it is causing your children pain, maybe even your spouse. It is causing you pain, it is causing your children pain, it is causing all of your family pain. And if you could get it fixed, would you? Well, let's find out. The game is already being played, and you have a spot in that game. You have already been issued a jersey, and your job has been staked out before you even got here. The only question left to ask is, will you step up to the plate and take your turn? If there are lives you were meant to touch and you don't, who will you be letting down? Let me be clear. In taking this on, it will completely transform the way you see motherhood. You will be different. You will be different. That is, if we are doing our job right and you are giving 100%. But also, let me be clear, when I say this will probably be the most essential, liberating change you make in your whole life. One that will let you affect generations to come. These changes that you will make in motherhood will not make your kids never cry again. Or if someone will walk into your house, they may only perceive subtle changes. But the changes you will be able to see will be liberating. Each challenge will take on a new meaning, not of one about whether or not you are good enough, but one of understanding and purpose. There will still be dishes to do and laundry to put away, toilets to clean, meals to be made, diapers to change, tears to wipe, screaming and tantrums to experience. Screaming and tantrums to experience, but through it all, it will be taking you from one of enduring, surviving, and barely scraping by to one of understanding, purpose, and experience. Live your life. Live it on purpose. Live it with purpose. And I can guarantee you that your relationships, especially those within your own home, will have no other option but to blossom into something you never knew was possible. Live each day as a mother in alignment with purpose, with awareness and consciousness, being fully present, and happiness, joy, abundance, balance, and harmony will be a natural byproduct. Motherhood will always bring up opportunities to learn more about yourself. I can guarantee you that. These opportunities are often disguised as tantrums, trials, and breakdowns from everyone involved. But once you learn the rules to the game, you get the map or the instruction book we should have been handed when we got this job, there is clarity even through the crisis. So I invite you now to step up, live your life, and join us at RevMom Academy.